if they were smart and they kept iterating to make this perfect life, they came to this fact that like, oh, you know, I've got to work out. And there's a comedian that made fun of it recently where he's just like, have you seen, you know, Jeff Bezos and all these billionaires and they're all getting buffed out and on the testosterone? It's like, man, that sucks. It's like they're basically saying like, you know, what we're all living for to be billionaires isn't enough. Like, we got to also work out too. I always think of Jim Carrey when I think he went on Oprah, or maybe he was giving a graduation speech, and he talks about how he read The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle, and he had this moment where he was just enlightened and he felt light, and this moment of clarity, what he saw.
Welcome back to Attorneys on Accident with Joe Wirth and Ash Blackburn. We're talking to each other today, letting you guys in on why we started a podcast, what's important to us, the road that we took to get here, talking about money, would we do it all again, and life lessons that we hope to pull out from every guest that we talk to. Here we are, Attorneys on Accident. They've now heard from our life coach, kind of why we had this transformative moment of time, why we're sitting here today, but still a lot of people in our lives were like, what are you doing? Why a podcast? And you came up with a name. So why don't you tell our viewers why Attorneys on Accident, what it means, and why we feel really strongly about meeting with the people that we're meeting with.
Sure. Yeah, the name for the podcast, Attorneys on Accident, that was one of those moments where somebody had said something to me, and he's going to be a guest on this podcast, Jerry Metellus. He was a photographer that came to our law firm, and when he met us and he met me and we had a private conversation, he'd had a chance to look into my soul, and he said, you don't meet people and need or want to tell them that you're an attorney. That's not the first thing that you want to tell them. And I went, yeah, okay, yeah. And then he went a little bit deeper with his fortune telling and said, you know, there's a lot more to you, and you're a lot more interested in the why and the human component of connection and relationships and what makes a great life and a good life. And so it made me realize that I really did become an attorney on accident, right? It was something that was practical. It was something that could provide for my family. That's not to say that I don't love it and I'm not passionate about it, but as I've gotten older, you know, you change as you should, yeah. Right? And you start to realize, okay, there's other things that I'm being drawn to which align with my values, with my truths, and one of the biggest ones in my life was becoming partners with you, right? And how that happens. So, so the podcast is an opportunity to connect with the community, to connect with other humans that are on this path of trying to live their best life, just be good, decent human beings, make the world better than they found it, all the cliches, all the platitudes, right? And yeah, to connect, I'd say.
Yeah. The theme that we keep coming back to in our lives, in our partnership, in doing the podcast, the people that we've surrounded ourselves with, is really that you can manifest a life for yourself, right? That if you're living intentionally, if you are putting in the practice and the work, if you're living to serve, that naturally, authentically, your life will unfold in the way that it's meant to. So it's very tongue-in-cheek, I think, Attorneys on Accident, that I accidentally am sitting in this podcast chair. I'm accidentally partners with somebody that I didn't think I'd be partners with. I'm accidentally a lawyer because my parents told me that that's what I should do. But there is this greater plan that is so obviously meant for me that I am now in alignment with, since I've dropped the things that were not meant for me, that this podcast makes a lot of sense, actually.
Yeah, and I think almost everyone can relate. There's going to be those moments in life where you wake up and ask yourself, is this as good as it gets? Is this really what I want? Is, you know, what can I do differently to change things in my life to make it, you know, more of what I want and less of what I don't? So, yeah, absolutely. And it's a question of that makes you think, like, am I here by accident? Is this one big happy accident? Or can I be making better decisions and surrounding myself with better people that are going to get me where I want to go ultimately quicker and at a much faster pace? And I think that the answer to that is yes. I think that you can shave years off of that, right? And so we hope to bring people onto this podcast that are going to inspire, uplift, help build the Las Vegas community. I know that something that I've said from day one, even before we were partners, is I never wanted to be a billboard attorney. In fact, our slogan is "No billboards, just justice." And there's lots of reasons for that, but one of the main reasons is I just feel like there's got to be a better way to where we can market our business, but then also build.
Yeah.
And one of the things that we've been doing, and it's been amazing, has been this campaign to help out teachers, right? Instead of just complaining about Las Vegas being 48th or dead last out of 50 states, what can we do about it as a community? What can we do about it as individuals and a law firm? So I'd love to hear you talk about these first kind of, get out in the community, and we're giving teachers gift cards, and they're doing these awesome things for their classes. Let me hear about it from your perspective.
So fun. Well, again, just something that so organically happened. Obviously, I've always been a little bit of a nerd, loved school. But for me, I had a unique experience growing up in Las Vegas. I'm from here. I've gone through all of school here. And in my elementary school, I was picked out to go into the GATE program,
For geniuses?
Well, for kids that are otherwise bored in class, and they were like, let's give this girl some stimulation. And it was a turning point. It was definitely, it was that point in time that I could have gone right instead of, left, of whether school was going to be a beneficial, engaging thing for me or not, right? It could have very easily gone down the rabbit hole of, I'm bored in school, I'm not being stimulated enough, maybe realize I'm a little ADHD, that kind of thing. And so I got really lucky in the GATE program, and then I went to magnet schools in middle school and high school. So I actually had a phenomenal experience going through the school system, but very lucky that I was kind of on a different track than everybody else. So fast forward to being in our law practice, having our marketer who is decided that she wants to be a teacher, but we really want to keep her.
We might have talked her out of that.
But still pledging that we would be involved in the school system. So it was really natural to do this promotion where we really focused on, okay, I don't think enough people know how many teachers put their own funds that they're not getting paid enough to do into the school, into the experience that our kids are having while they're in the classroom, and how important that is. So we thought of this promotion where we're going to give $500 directly to teachers to outfit their classrooms. And what was really cool in the teachers that we've seen is how different from school to school they're utilizing these funds, whether it's for the fidgeting and how to get all the wiggles out of their little kids' bodies, snacks in some lower income schools, making sure that they're going home with full bellies, or, special education and making sure that they've got kind of the toys and a different kind of curriculum that's going to suit them. So helping go directly into the classrooms, give individual teachers exactly what they need to give the best experience to our students is what I would much rather be doing instead of having a billboard.
Yeah, no, it's very fulfilling, and it's in line with our values, right? And so one thing I want to ask you, and it's important for anyone who's looking to understand us more and our guests, is talk about how us having different strengths, being different, right? Visually, we're different. Age-wise, we're different. Lots of differences. Politically, we're on different sides of the aisle. What would you say has been the biggest thing you've learned in terms of like all that stuff doesn't matter as long as your values align?
Yeah. Well, I really learned the importance of learning from other people. What's unique about us is that we were both on a path searching for an answer in different ways. And knowing that something was missing out of our life, wanting to feel whole, I think is really what kind of catalyst, right? That's a catalyst. And then finding similarities in someone that on the surface doesn't look like I have similarities with, but can both teach me things that maybe I'm ignoring and is aligned in serving others, in wanting to be a part of the community, is wanting to give back to our employees and make a holistic experience for them. So what I hope anybody who's listening to this podcast get is really how much we are all alike, really how much we all actually have in common. And if we tried to learn from others and meet people on a deeper level, we would all be better off, right?
You're right, yeah, and that's something that I've known you since you were 17, file clerk, right? And at the time, the biggest, most successful personal injury law firm in Las Vegas. And I always liken you to Anne Hathaway's character in Devil Wears Prada,
Oh, I love that.
right? To where it's basically you went into this environment where it'd be very easy for you to wilt and shrink and run. And I just saw you take hit after hit, blow after blow, and you had this wisdom that was uncanny in the sense that usually you have to just turn 30, 40, or 50 to start to realize, how important it is that, no, there's something I can learn even from a very difficult person or for someone that's yelling and screaming at me, and I don't have to react, and I don't have to, let their emotion change my emotion. And so I kind of just watched you for years and decades from the sidelines in kind of quiet admiration going, this is interesting, because you were on a fast track. It was clear to me you were on a fast track of personal development and growth years before Instagram, and it's kind of become this thing where it's easy just to dismiss it all because it can be cheesy or irritating or whatever, right? But you were embracing early ideas as far as just like, no, I'm going to bet on me. I'm going to keep working on me. I'm going to put my head down and work hard, and the world will be ready to give me what I deserve after I've earned it. And that's something where I think we're starting to shift a little bit out of that, but I think you have a lot of wisdom to share with the younger generation as far as how to find success, because how old are you?
36.
36, and I could go on, but I have to believe that at one point you were the highest paid one-year attorney in the country, or second-year attorney. I mean, I would venture to bet.
I'm lucky in that regard, in many ways, because I had lots of opportunities. I think what's unique about my path is that I'm always searching for opportunities, and it's something that I've done since young. I'm the person that wants to walk through the door when it opens up, and I feel lucky that's my personality. But I also think that it's very in line with what we're doing now, that if you can be of service to someone, they will recognize your value. So in going from copy clerk to file clerk to depot paralegal to trial paralegal to office manager to managing attorney to a partner of a law firm, is that I've always been in service more than anything else. I'm willing to go clean the bathroom if that's what needs to be done. I have no problem, no ego, serving the greater purpose, the team purpose. And, I think, you were my employer at one point. That's obvious when somebody comes in and is so willing to put their own interests aside, and push through for the betterment of the team. I don't know if everybody would think that I, didn't have my own interests in mind, but I did, truly. There was a goal that I was trying to reach, and I was trying to do what was best for our clients, and I was trying to do what was best for the greatest amount of people, which is one of my biggest values.
So I have to jump in, interject with one of my favorite stories for our listeners, which is there was a time when you were working your way up, and you worked your way up very quickly, never had your hand out, just simply waited until you were acknowledged, and we lost our office manager, and it was like our office manager, Jerry Maguire moment, where she was like the one person that came with me and my partner when we left our big firm and started our own firm. And so she knew everything. She had all the institutional knowledge, and the place didn't operate without her. And my partner and I never looked at the books, just trusted we weren't being,
Crazy.
Nothing got stolen. But anyways, you came in and said, hey, I want to do this, I can do it. And I just remember thinking, okay, I know she's confident. I've always known that, but she might have like gone a little too far with, the hubris of I can do anything. And I remember asking you, what makes you think, do you know QuickBooks? And you're like, no. And I'm like, okay, well, do you know anything about running an office, managing an office? What did you say?
Banking.
Yeah,
no,
banking.
I remember that one specifically.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about that.
And what did you say?
If she can do it, I can do it.
And sometimes when people say things, you believe them, and you said that with such confidence that it was just like, okay. It was one of those moments, right, where the big deal happens, and there's just no room for doubt, because you said if she can do it, I can do it, and I think your life has been that, right? If somebody else can do it, I can figure it out and do it, and I'm more than happy to get my hands dirty and do the hard work and sweat and blood and tears and all that stuff. So,
Well, here's the truth about that, Joe, is that if I had stepped into that role, and actually I did, right? I stepped into the role of bookkeeping and banking and QuickBooks, and I very quickly realized I can do a lot of this, you guys, but this bookkeeping thing is a little beyond what I'm capable of, and wearing all these other hats. And so I went to you guys and I said, look, I'm doing it, but I think it would be really beneficial if we had a bookkeeper as well who could be focusing on this part. Fast forward 10 years, she's now our office manager and wears a million hats, right? And so I know where my weaknesses are. I'm not afraid to say what I can't do. And so it makes it easy to step into something I've never done before, because if there is something that I can't do and I'm honest with myself, I'll be honest with my employer about it, while also showing them this is all the stuff that I can learn and can do. And I find that that's something that's getting lost in our generation. You know, we talk about this as employers now, right? Where you have to have the confidence to show somebody what the value is before you're asking for the rewards of the title that you think you want.
yeah, you've got to get the order right.
You got to get the order right. And so, again, just lucky that I had that mindset growing up of, I'll show you. Let me show you.
Watch me, yeah.
Watch me.
Yeah.
Let me show you.
No, and I know I had to have a little bit of that watch me attitude that served me in my younger years when I started my firm, where it got back to me that, you know, they didn't think I could, or how am I going to have cases? And I remember driving home and just kind of in my head, the mantra was, watch me, right? And you get older, you can tap into a little healthier ways to motivate yourself and just, you know, I'm going to show the world and everything. But it served me then. And
I think you said that earlier, that was it Simon Sinek that kind of talked about, like, you know, let the rage and the anger fuel you until it no longer serves you. And I think both of us had a little bit of that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so I mean, anyone that's listening, I think as far as pulling out the big life lessons is just, for me, remaining open, being open, because no way in a million years did you think or I thought we would be running a law firm together here in Las Vegas, and we've opened an office in Phoenix, and there'll be other offices in other states. And so it's always easy to connect the dots, as Steve Jobs has said, looking backwards. But that faith in moving forward, I think a lot of what is going to come out of our guests and our podcast in terms of a common theme and thread is going to be certainly faith over fear, but just listening to that inner voice, trusting your instinct, trusting your gut, intuition, also helping our listeners understand that we're all speaking the same language, right?
Absolutely.
Religion uses the terms, you know, spirit, and you might go to a life coach and they might say something like energy, and you might go to a friend and they might say something else. And
talk to a scientist and they're talking about physics, right?
Yeah, and things. And so trying to speak that common language that, because, you know, every message needs a messenger, and for some people, they're going to hear what we have to say, and I think it's going to resonate, just as far as the fact that it's coming from us, and we're very different individuals.
Yeah. What I wanted to ask you, it's actually been sitting on my mind for a couple of days now. You said that when, you know, our life was in turmoil and we were thinking about making this huge leap of faith, being partners with one another, going in a different direction, that once the ball was in motion, that you were giddy, that there was just this high that you were feeling with, and Christina's telling you, careful, you're going to come down. Can you kind of speak to that? Because I think what I hope to inspire everybody to do listening to this podcast is to make change for your best self. Make change for the spirit, for the inner person that is dying for you to move in alignment. And I feel like that feeling that you had when you finally locked into alignment is what I hope everybody has in their life eventually. And I kind of want you to speak to it and how it's fizzled out, how you keep trying to re-engage it, so that everybody has a little hope of where they can get to.
Well, it's 1,000% relatable. We all get stuck, right?
Yeah.
We're all humans, so we all have moments where we get stuck. I believe resistance is waiting for us from the second we wake up and the alarm goes off, until our head hits the pillow in different forms. Certainly there's times where it's easier throughout the day, but we're all suffering through the same human experience, and to the extent that we can limit that suffering and find a way to find joy in it, right? We're all looking for the same stuff. But I always think of Jim Carrey when I think he went on Oprah, or maybe he was giving a graduation speech, and he talks about how he read The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle, and he had this moment where he was just enlightened and he felt light, and it was a moment of clarity where he saw,
What life
human
could be.
civilization. Yeah, and he also saw, like, his place in all of this cosmos and whatnot. And so it is sad to say that, those feelings, they're fleeting and they don't stay. But you don't forget them, and you're forever changed in terms of you move that much closer to
The needle. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, to where you want to be and who you want to be. But I hope that what we can do too, and I want to hear your thoughts on this, is I'm all too aware of how people react when you start talking about whatever woo-woo stuff, right? Energy and manifesting and yoga and Pilates, all this stuff. And I would love if our audience and our listeners got more comfortable with it. Those people that kind of are quick to dismiss it and, oh, well, I've got a friend and she does Pilates and she's a total whatever, and, it hasn't helped her, or this person talks about that. Like, just to realize that there is value in all this stuff. There's value in exercise and living clean and healthy and trying to be good employee or a good employer, all those things.
Yeah. I think it's no coincidence that if we think about the great thinkers of our times and the people that guide us, since young, I've been watching Oprah, and she's constantly talking about manifesting and living with intention and planning a life instead of just existing in it. And you don't become Oprah by not believing in those things, in my opinion, but also that she's trying to give that back in the same way. Simon Sinek, right? Same kind of ideology. Leaders Eat Last is a book that you and I have loved and try to live by for years now. And so if you're paying attention, if you're awake to the big thought leaders and you're willing to be provoked by their messages, the theme is always the same, right? In all of religion, it's always the same, that there is a greater message, there's a greater purpose, and you just have to be listening to it.
Yeah, and I'm all about applying it. I'm nothing if I'm not practical. I think you're very practical too, that it's not something that, while it can be entertaining, I want to know, how can I learn from this person? How can I learn from you? How can I learn from everyone and have everyone be my teacher to craft a life that I'm proud of?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And constantly working on yourself, right? It's never done. The work is never, ever done. So, going back to kind of that giddiness that you felt, I was in it with you, felt it too. And it's funny, now we're 2 years removed from it, and it's dissipated a little bit, but I find that if I keep practicing, I still have little glimmers and aha moments of like, oh, that's why I do that thing. And that aha moment, when I can get over the threshold and start doing something different, get out of that pattern that I'm in, I'm one step closer to contentment, right? Not happiness, content wherever I am. I'm in the present. I'm here. I'm experiencing life that I'm so grateful to live as it unfolds. Yeah.
Yeah, no, and it's easy to look at the big moments, right? And forget that, it's a daily, like you said, it's every single day and it doesn't stop. That was the big realization that I came to. I always will think that exercise and working out is going to be the best analogy for all this stuff, right? Because it's, you do it, you have to do it every day. It doesn't stop. It hurts, it's hard, but then it feels good after. And, and so I've made my peace with that, but I'm still wrestling with some of the, the more emotional, spiritual side of things, in terms of just like, am I really still like telling myself that same old story that's not serving me? Am I still falling for the same kind of thought traps that are keeping me stuck in a relationship, or not having the relationship I want with my kids or friends? And so it doesn't end. And the guests that we have on this podcast are going to be speaking the same language that we're speaking, and sharing experiences that I think are going to be very relatable to people that are not content to just be like, well, this is as good as it gets. This is my life. And even though there's other things that I'd want or I'd like it to look different, like because, my parents are this, or, getting stuck in all the excuses. And
it's one of my favorite things that Mark Eatson said, another one of our guests, right? That if you're really honest with yourself, there's always room for growth and there's always room for more. That's a message that I want our listeners to really take in and know to be true. And what I hope people get out of this podcast, right, just by virtue of our two very different paths, but also everybody that we have on the podcast, DJ, photographer,
shoe shiner,
CEO of a charter school, surgeons,
CEO of the #1 ski resort in America.
Yeah,
on and on.
There's this theme that we've tapped into and are excited to share with other people, but all of these people who have found success are living very cool, holistic lives. They're all speaking the same language.
All the same language. And for me, I won't speak for you, but for me, I just kind of took it, there's things that you just think, oh, well, doesn't everybody do that and think like that, right? And you get older and you start to realize like, oh, these are maybe superpowers or gifts. But as I was growing up, I did not realize what an advantage it was at an early age to come to understand that you can go to a book. Like I didn't have a dad that was present at all, and I didn't have a mentor until my father-in-law until I got married. And so I would look toward books in the library, and I laid down all these foundational layers that positioned me to where I could then see the opportunities. I could see the life that I wanted to live. I'd see somebody and go, oh, you know what? The way that he talks to his wife, treats his wife, enjoys his wife, I want that, so let me learn from him. Or maybe there's a book about relationships that I can fit, So just knowing that the answers are all out there, we're all saying the same thing. It's there for the taking. It's always going to be, actually working out. That's the hard part, because it's fun to talk about, and I can sit and talk about dreams and fantasies and all this, idyllic life. But, doing the work, we're going to have these people come on to inspire and to give people that reminder, which it's a daily reminder that we need, that like, hey, we're all in the same thing together. You got this. The life coach, I swear 99% of her secret sauce is just being like, you got this. Like, you already know. You're the expert of you, right?
Yeah.
How many times has Christina said that to both of us? Is like, I almost sometimes I'm like, what am I paying you for again? It's like, oh yeah, I'm not going to do this without you forcing me to look inside.
She's the gym.
She's, yeah, right.
That we go to.
She's the gym, the mental gym that we go to just keep looking inside for the answers instead of everywhere, but, where the truth doesn't lie, right? We have the truth. We know the truth. We just got to actually do it, which sucks.
Absolutely. What are some of the things that you do, as somebody who I view as a phenomenal father, a great and engaged husband, phenomenal entrepreneur, salesperson that I would put against any single person in the world, right? And really somebody who brings everybody in to his circle and tries to connect other people, right? What are some of the things that you do to be aligned to who you are?
I think the quickest, easiest response to that is I have an anchor habit that I acquired at about 40, 41 of I'm going to work out hell or high water for at least 1 hour, 6 days a week. And that can be stretching, yoga, that can be a light run with the wife, it can be pickleball, it can be tennis. So it's not so rigid that it takes all the fun out of it and it's, oh, you're a robot and, I can't relate to you. It's just an hour of physical activity, and that anchor habit anchors all the other stuff. It's going to make me go to bed earlier. It's going to make me get up earlier. It's going to make me eat better because I know I don't want to feel bad if I'm working out the next day. It's going to make it to where I can play and go on vacations and not just watch my kids ski and snowboard, but do it with them. Not just watch them wakeboard and wake surf, but do it with them. And so finding that at 40 and realizing that all the really smart people I looked up to and read books about, they were starting to come around to it. They could be nerd geeks, overweight, but if they were smart and they kept iterating to make this perfect life, they came to this fact that like, oh, I've got to work out. And there was a comedian that made fun of it recently where he's just like, have you seen, Jeff Bezos and all these billionaires and they're all getting buffed out and on the testosterone? He's like, damn, that sucks. It's like they're basically saying like, what we're all living for to be billionaires isn't enough. Like we got to also work out to, it's kind of funny, but it's true. Like you don't want to just have a ton of money and have terrible health, right?
Yeah.
You don't want to have a ton of money and be on your sixth marriage and have kids that are just waiting for you to die, right? That's not success. And so what I admire about you and what I feel like some people admire about me is we're interested in a holistically fantastic life, not just having work go really well, not just having our friend circle go really well. Like I see all of them, and if there's one part of it that's not operating how it should, well, then I want to dive in on the podcasts and the books and talk to friends that I can trust who want what's best for me. And then I want to make the changes and look in the mirror and try to get better in those areas. And so me becoming partners with you was, I got to this point where I went to Germany and had this amazing trip with my family, and we just rented a car and drove all through the, southern Germany and went to Austria, and it was incredible. And I had this moment where I was working out in a gym by myself because I had to get my workout in, and it was like 11 o'clock at night, put everyone to bed, and I'm working out, no headphones, just kind of thinking, and I'm going through my life. I'm doing a little inventory. I'm turning the pages on my life, and I'm thinking, wow, I'm here with my family 2 weeks, having this amazing time. I've been working on my marriage for years and years to get it to where I wanted to get it. Working on myself, working on my health, and we're the experts of ourselves. So eventually, if you get quiet for long enough, you'll hear the truth that you don't want to hear, which was, this is not the law firm that you want, right? You don't want it to be about alcohol. You don't want the retreats to be focused on drinking and partying, and you want it to be value-driven and focused on self-improvement and growth and all this stuff that is valuable. You can bring that into your law firm, and there's a better way, right? And so that was the big impetus to me going, okay, I need to make a change, and a big one, and it was scary and terrifying. But with the help of my life coach and my wife, I was able to get through that.
That's what I love about both of our journeys, because I feel like, mine's exactly the opposite. At 36, the one theme that I keep working on with Christina that I come back as a life coach is like, I've learned how to put all of my eggs in the work basket, right? I have been a very driven person, go to school, go to law school, work and go to law school, be the managing attorney, climb, in a way that I was putting friendships on the back burner. I was putting my love life on the back burner. I was putting my family on the back burner, my extended family. And then I had a kid. Woo! And he shook up everything, and suddenly my priorities are different. And I'm wondering to myself, would I tell Remy to put this much energy in what you do? Because it wasn't even work and service, right? Like we're doing it now. It was just, what's the next rung of the ladder that I can climb? And so I'm undoing all of that right now. Sure, I want to climb another rung of the ladder, but why? For what? There has to be more purpose, not just for the sake of doing it. So we came to this crossroads in our lives where you're wanting to really modify what work looks like, and I really want to modify what home looks like. And we've helped each other in that way. And of course, your relationship with Susie is, I'll cry if I think about it too much, but I've seen you work on your relationship. I've seen you make your marriage better. And it's something else that I think is lost in our society, is choosing the same person, choosing to show up as someone better for the relationship instead of expecting the other person to change. What are the nuggets of wisdom that you can give about relationships and how you've holistically given intention to having the best marriage?
Well, you said it with the word intention. I mean, one of the things that we've done that's been really, really valuable, and I would recommend everyone do, is, our alarms go off. Our kids make fun of us, but at 9 a.m. every night, both of our phones are synced, and they'll go off, and it says meaningful wife time or meaningful husband time, right? Yeah, and that's just something that she got from probably a great podcast, right? I mean, the answers are all out there, but, you try some things and some things stick, but this one is stuck because
How long
it's
have you guys
just-
been doing that?
We've been doing it for a couple months now, like 2-3 months, but it's, it's one where it's just like, oh, gee, it's like she's always a little bit more optimistic or excited about it, and I'm kind of like, yeah, no, it's great. And then, but when she told me what it was 2 things that you're grateful for like that they did for you, and so just it's the whole lingering in gratitude. You always want to come back to gratitude, and so, but when you do it intentionally with your spouse, the days fly by, and then before you know it, you haven't gone on a date, and you're not servicing the relationship. So just
Keeps you accountable too.
Yeah, keep it accountable. And then when you realize it's like not overwhelming and it's just a 5-10 minute conversation where you stop everything and go, hey, like, and you do this with kids, right? I noticed you did that really well. And then what does the kid do? The kid kind of like walks a little bit taller when they walk away, and they're like, that's the way to help shape people, right? Not go up and yell and scream and preach. And so we're basically raising each other the same proper way, which was just like, hey, when I came home and I, was a little bit agitated, or, I made that comment. It was a little bit not the kindest comment. Thank you for not reacting, giving me a little bit of grace. And then it's just, what you're doing is you're building that foundation day by day. So that's been something that's tangible that you can take with you. But then also,
I got to get nosy now.
Yeah, go ahead.
Anyone that sticks out to you that was like, wow, that moved our relationship forward a lot.
Oh, well, just, I think, no, it's more just the fact that, like, we all want to be noticed, recognized, appreciated. And then also when you're saying what you're grateful, you're reminding yourself, like, oh, they did do that. So it's just creating this awareness.
Okay.
Right? Like, I think it's just a daily.
So it is the practice of it, right?
It's the practice of it. I think that's one of the big secrets in life, is that it's not sexy, it's not fun.
There's no one moment.
Yeah, like advertising has really taught us, that's my background, that, we want to condense everything down to like, okay, well, I'm just going to listen to this podcast and then that's it. It's like, no, like, I listen to podcasts like when I work out almost every time, and that's a good hour of my workout, and people see, I didn't get there. Like, I started off listening to music and then slowly started to realize, like, okay, that's a great way to utilize my time and work out. But no, always learning. There's a quote that, the world can be divided into non-learners and learners, right? And I really pride myself on being a learner because the answers are out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So.
When you were saying that, I was thinking about Remy, because every day, what did you do at school? I don't remember. I don't know. And then I'm putting him to bed, and all of a sudden, he's a real chatty guy. Mom, and I made this friend, and his name is so-and-so, and then we did this, and we played Paw Patrol together. How do you play Paw Patrol? Well, we just pretend to be the dogs.
Yeah, well, the literature says that's the time
seance.
to have those teaching moments is when you're put into bed, not, why did you do this, and why didn't you clean? Like, no, the time is actually when they feel safe.
Oh, it's so special. He just goes into a tirade about not tirade's not the right word, but just into a speech and just rambling. And he's only 4, right? So it's so fun. It's just the anticipation of what's going to come out of his mouth at 4 is fun, and it's a glimpse into something so pure, so innocent, that it teaches me, I think, again, like you were saying, just to find connection and be present in these little moments that are fleeting.
Yeah. Let me ask you a different question having to do with money, right? America's favorite subject, right? We're all fascinated, want to know how much people make, and we want to use that as the ultimate benchmark for success. You get older and, it's the same old story, right? Like, we have the benefit of being like, oh, it's not everything, blah, blah, blah. But then the younger generation's like, yeah, I'm going to test that theory, though. I still think you might be lying. But you found an enormous amount of financial success earlier than most. And I just want to know, since our podcast is called Attorneys on Accident, you became a multi-millionaire at a very young age. Would you say that was on accident? And do you have any regrets now that you're like, okay, I was solely focused on work and it was to the detriment of relationships and other things? I mean, would you do it different?
Yeah, we talked about this recently, right? It's such a hard thing to answer. I was raised in a very tumultuous situation. I was evicted out of more than 10 houses. My mom was constantly marrying, unmarrying, in a different relationship. So we were moving around a lot. By the time I was 23, I'd lived in 30 different places, right? Plus. And my dad, had a very interesting way of living. You know, we would be at Disneyland 1 month and then the next month power's out at the house, right? So I have a weird relationship with money. Like I very much understand that you can have it and then you don't. And that you can't take it with it when you go. So, and I feel fortunate that I have these really great experiences of going to Hawaii and going to Disneyland, and we lived in Tahoe in a mansion that was his best friend's for a little while in the midst of all this chaos too, right? So I think money certainly for me, and why I was so motivated to work, is because stability and security meant a lot to me because of the trauma that I had been to, you know? And so I feel like it's very easy for somebody to come into money and say, oh, it's not that important.
That's what I was trying to hint at, is
Right.
It's so irritating when celebrities or anyone who's, got all the success, and then says like, well, why can't you give more to charity? And it's like, well, yeah, easy for you to say, right?
Yeah.
Easy. So, because let's be honest, it opens up, it allows you to take a step back and go, okay, well, I want to do things differently.
Yeah.
And
But at the same time, if we talk about the case that made me a multimillionaire, right? I had just had a 1-year-old baby, and I lived at the law firm during that case. I was accessible to him every minute of every day. Every email that came in about that case, I answered. I stayed up until 4:00 in the morning at the office with one of our associates and a paralegal writing the 80-page brief that we did to mediation, clipping videos. I mean, I was entirely entrenched in this case, so much so that when we settled, I was sick for probably a month because I
believe
didn't
it.
realize how much adrenaline
I believe
I
it.
had going on. And I was away from my kid, for a year. So now that I've done this work, I know that what drove me to that success was a lot of trauma. What made me singularly focused on success and being what people praised me for and, earning, climbing the ladder was distraction from not confronting why I can't connect with friends, why I can't connect with relationships, why I keep ending up in bad, toxic environments, right? So if you asked me, if you could take all the knowledge that you have now and go back to the beginning, would you do it again? Absolutely not. I'd do what you did. I'd get married really young and I'd have a bunch of babies and I would focus on the things that mattered.
fill a van.
Yeah. Fill a van.
Well, that's honest. That's radical honesty. I think and that's what I love about you, is your willingness to go like, I never in a million years would, if somebody showed you this clip and
Yeah.
you're playing it, you're like, no, that's
No
just,
way.
That's AI. That's not me.
She's lying.
They took a picture of me and that's not me. I got a twin out there, but so for you to say that, I mean that. Like, I've always admired your willingness to look in the mirror and go, oh, I thought I had the answer to this. Turns out I'm wrong, and then you go in a different direction. And most people aren't willing to do that. Do you realize that? You realize
do.
most people just kind of stay where it's comfortable and feel safe?
I do, but I also think it's really hard, right? I mean, on the outside, I've achieved something that a lot of people don't achieve, and everybody's giving you the pat on the back, like, oh gosh, you're doing something cool. We talked about this with Christina, something I'm deeply grateful for you. You had no reason to uproot your law firm. None. It was benefited you in the best way, and you could have kept going on until it died and then went off and did your own thing. There was no reason for you to pull the rug out from under that, and you chose to because there was something that meant more to you than money, right?
No, right, yeah. But it's a tough question, to kind of answer honestly, because again,
It's fun.
you have it.
It's not a bad time.
It's great. You can't say that it doesn't change things, but it's nice when it changes for the positive, right? And
Yeah.
allows you to go, okay, maybe I can run this law firm different to where we're bringing our people up with us, and it isn't just this. We talked about it being more horizontal than vertical, right? There's inevitably going to be a hierarchy at work, but we really work hard with our staff to make them see like, hey, you may stay, you may leave. We just hope that if you stay or you leave, you're a better person than when you came in the door. And so far, it's been really fun. Like,
Oh, so fun.
It's great. It's just like seeing your kid. You get to see these employees go from reception or whatever kind of job that maybe a little bit more menial on the ladder to, managing a department or something. And just, them thinking there's no way that they could ever do that. It's very addictive, good addiction.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it. Well, I'm really excited for this podcast. If anything, I get just tons of education from sitting with people that are like-minded and have done really amazing things with their lives, and ultimately just want to share the knowledge that we've gained through our life coach and life experience, and cultivate as many close friendships and conversations as we can to give everybody else hope that, whatever path that you're on, be aligned to it, find your values, trust, find your why, and you'll get where you're trying to go.
Yeah, and I mean, it's called Attorneys on Accident. We could have easily called it Vegas has the most interesting people in the world, right? I mean, we're going to have guests on from all over the world, but at the same time, our clients, the people in the community in Las Vegas, it just attracts really diverse. Like my kid's school is one of the most diverse schools in America. Like, it's amazing, and I think that you're going to hear from people from every different background, and if we do our job, we're going to pull out all the commonalities.
Yep.
We're going to bring out everything that we share as humans to try to level the playing field and help people and remind people on a daily basis that, hey, we're all in this together. And we all got each other's back, and we're not competing. We're uplifting and we're supporting. And so grateful to share this journey with you. I really mean that. Like,
Me too.
It's amazing to get to this point in life, to where, you get to choose, and then you attract naturally just good people, and the next thing you know, you found your tribe. So grateful to have found you.
Absolutely. And grateful to have this community that we're building here.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.